Our next presentation is from Lake Malawi, Nyasa Basin Fisheries and Aquaculture Network. And this is going to be given by Dr. Geoffrey Chavula. And just in brief, Dr. Geoffrey Chavula is an associate professor at Department of Civil Engineering at the University of Malawi, the Polytechnic. And he has over 4 decades of work experience in different ecosystems globally. And also his focus is on water resource management, climate change, aquatic ecology, environmental education, and many other areas. He's been the lead for the Lake Malawi Nyasa Basin Fisheries and Aquaculture Network since the network was founded in 2019 at the meeting in Entebbe, and has been facilitating or rather spearheading the different activities within the Lake Malawi Nyasa Basin network members. So we'll get a brief presentation from him, followed by a 5 minutes talk, 5 minutes Q&A session. So please feel free to note some of the concerns or notes you may have to regarding the presentation that is coming up.
My name is Geoffrey Chavula. I'm the interim team leader for the Lake Malawi, Lake Niassa Advisory Group. I will make a presentation following the outline that was sent to us by Zeph. So I'll start with the overview of the present status of the lake, and then I'll discuss the progress that we have made as an advisory group since the inception. And then thereafter, I'm going to look at the challenges faced by the basin, the lake basin, then the advisory group experts, and then the process. And then I also look at opportunities and recommendations. Basically, here I'm looking at what the future holds for the advisory group. Then I'll finish this presentation by posing a question that will, how we can move forward as an advisory group. Lake Malawi, Lake Niassa is the 3rd largest lake in the African Great Lakes system. It is located at the border between Malawi, Mozambique, and Tanzania. The catchment area of the lake is 97,740 square kilometers, of which 64,373 square kilometers lies in Malawi, 26,600 square kilometers is in Tanzania, and 6,768 square kilometers is in Mozambique. It's worth noting that the lake is the 9th largest and 3rd deepest in the world, and contains near 7% of the Earth's available fresh water. The maximum of the Lake Malawi, the maximum length of the Lake Malawi, Lake Niassa, is approximately 570 kilometers. But the lake is comparatively narrow, with an average width of about 48 kilometers, but it ranges from 25 to 75 kilometers. The lake has a mean depth of 260 meters and a maximum depth of 700 meters, with a surface area of 29,743 square kilometers, a volume of 7,723 cubic kilometers, and a mean lake level of 474 meters above sea level. The lake basin experiences a tropical continental climate with 2 distinct seasons, namely a wet season from November to April and a dry season from May to October. The dry season is characterized by strong southeasterly trade winds, locally known as the Mwera, that blow over the lake, while the wet season is characterized by northeasterly winds, which are much weaker. The Intertropical Convergence Zone, or ITCZ, the Zaire Air Boundary, and tropical cyclones are the 3 large-scale synoptic systems that bring rainfall to the basin. It is worth noting that in 2016, the Lake Malawi, Lake Niassa was part of IUCN's Building River Dialogue Governance or Bridge Phase 3 project. The lake has the largest number of fish species in the world, most of which are endemic and dominated by cichlids. It provides habitat over 700 fish species, and in recognition of its unique biological diversity, in 1984, Lake Malawi, Lake Nyasa was declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. In addition to its rich biodiversity, the lake is the main source of animal protein for the riparian country of Malawi and provides 4% to the country's GDP. That's the map of the lake itself in relation to Tanzania, Malawi, and Mozambique. And most of the issues that are here, I already covered them. I talked about, the lake as the main source of animal protein for the people of Malawi. And I also talked about the 4% GDP that it contributes, the fishery sector contributes to GDP. But also, it's worth noting that Lake Malawi is used for navigation, water supply, for domestic consumption, irrigated agriculture, hydropower generation in the middle reach of the Shire. And I also already pointed out that in 2016, the lake was part of the Bridge 3 Phase 3 project. Now, looking at the successes or the progress that the advisory group has made so far since its inception. Prior to the formation of the Lake Malawi, Lake Nyasa Advisory Group, there was very little communication and the sharing of notes between researchers from the three riparian countries of Malawi, Mozambique, and Tanzania on general issues about the lake. However, the situation has improved a lot since then with the formation of the advisory group. From the interaction that we have had so far as members of the advisory group, it is clear that our three riparian countries experience very similar problems as far as the management of the lake is concerned, with major problems being overfishing and catchment degradation, but compounded by climate change. And as a result, we have come up with a few strategies for improving the management of the lake. These include the need to revamp our research stations in the respective countries by equipping them to conduct basic water monitoring activities. Here, our major interest really is looking at the eutrophication status of the lake. So, concentration of chlorophyll air concentration is very key in that particular area. But also looking at temperature, this helps us to locate upwelling and downwelling zones. So, in terms of fishing, demarcation or delineation of fishing zones, these two parameters are very, very key: chlorophyll air concentration and temperature. And then, of course, we're also interested in wind speeds, and then wave speed and height, but also the general quality of the water itself. So we're looking at both physical, biological, and chemical parameters. But at the same time, we're also interested in looking at things like sedimentation levels, etc. Maybe something worth noting at this particular stage is that we are in the last stages of producing a paper for publication on the lake with support from our colleagues at ECHEA. Now, challenges faced by the basin, the advisory group, and then the process. I will start with the basin. There are many. Basically, here the key is catchment degradation, very, very key. Of course, we are talking about, deforestation, the burning of the catchment area. The lake is located in one of the areas which is highly burnt in the world. So issues of atmospheric deposition become very key under that particular process. Discharge of waste, especially for resorts that are along the lake. So water quality issues also become very, very key. For the advisory group, the main issue has been COVID-19 pandemic. This has been a major blow to us in terms of the progress that we have made. Soon after the Entebbe meeting, we had planned to convene in our respective countries national stakeholder workshops. but that did not take place because of COVID-19 pandemic. And because of the lockdown, we have not been able to convene the national workshops, like I said. Although we have managed to co-opt some members into the group, and we have had a number of virtual meetings that we have conducted, but I think in terms of the function of the advisory group, COVID-19 has been a very, very serious group. The process, like I said before, after the Entebbe meeting, we had planned that, we hold stakeholder meetings in our respective countries with a view to briefing members about the advisory group and then co-opting more members into the groups. That did not take place because of the COVID-19 pandemic. In terms of opportunities and recommendations, what the future holds for the advisory group, what I would say here is that the advisory group has given us the opportunity to identify problems that are critical for the sustainable management of the lake, particularly the need to equip our research labs to monitor the status of the lake, and the need to conduct stock assessments in order to determine the lake's biodiversity richness, and also the need for capacity building in areas of limnology. Here we're talking about physical, chemical, and biological, and the general biodiversity of the lake. Also looking at catchment management and the potential effects on the lake's water quality of atmospheric deposition. What I need to mention here is that the Lake Malawi, Lake Nyassa is located in the most bent region actually in the whole world. So issues of atmospheric deposition becomes very, very critical. Also, through regular virtual meetings that we have had as an advisory group, we have managed to communicate our concerns to a care group, particularly areas where we need financial support. It is our hope that our labs will be adequately equipped to conduct basic monitoring activities. Also, for the global freshwater scientific community, we hope our interactions with the care group will boost our research capacity. In fact, discussions are underway right now for collaborative research between ECARE and local researchers to conduct joint research on specific areas of interest. Yeah, so basically what I would say is we have managed to identify problems, at the same time we have proposed solutions to some of these problems. And the way things are now at the moment, we are looking at two critical issues which we would really want addressed in the year 2022. The first one, is they need to conduct stakeholder consultations in our respective countries, so that we have groups that have been able to communicate to the general public about the existence of the advisory group, and it's looking at its aims and objectives, because then it is going to be owned by the respective countries at the end of the day. This we should have done the first time we came from Entebbe during the first meeting. But we didn't do that, like I pointed out, because of COVID-19. So we're still looking forward to the way in which we can best conduct these stakeholder consultations. And then the second critical thing is that if we are going to be effective in terms of monitoring the status of the lake, for sure we need to equip our labs properly. Not the way things are at the moment. I mean, we're not even able to conduct basic, simple, measurements on the lake. So those two are very, very key for us. Now, in terms of need for joint research, I think I already covered this one, that progress is being made right now as we speak in terms of collaborative research with our research partners, and we hope that more people will join us. Like for this particular lake, really the interest is huge. One, it's the lake which has the largest number of fish species in the whole world, and then it's also located in a region of the Rift Valley system, and one of the deepest lakes. I think I already mentioned it, that is the third largest, the third deepest in the world. So there are a lot of key interesting issues in terms of sedimentation and things like that. So in terms of research interest, this lake has a lot of it already. Now, in terms of moving forward, I think, like I pointed out before, really we need your assistance on the way in which we can equip our research labs and make them sustainable. Because the way things are now, you know, of course we might say we need government subvention in order to equip our labs, but you know, some of the equipment that we may lay our hands on are not easily found in our respective countries. So basically what we're saying is we need external support in order to do that. So basically, like I pointed out, if we are going to look at critical issues for the year 2022, then it will be stakeholder consultations that we didn't do, and then looking at how best we can equip our labs, and possibly capacity building would be very, very key. At this point in time, let me say a very big thank you to you all for listening to our presentation. I hope we will be able as a group to handle the questions that you might have, but we're looking forward to our collaboration with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chavula, for that comprehensive presentation on the Lake Malawi Nyassa Basin, and also on the Lake Malawi Nyassa Basin Fisheries and Aquaculture Network, highlighting some of the successes, some of the achievements, lessons learned, and presenting the way forward to the meeting here. All that you've talked about, I think we've also pointed them in the manuscript specifically on what needs to be done and how they should be done and who should be involved at each of the stages. Also, just to add on your presentation is that we've also conducted that comprehensive assessment of the research stations around the Lake Malawi Nyassa Basin, and we have an inventory documenting what each of the labs has and some of the incapacities that should be addressed in each of the labs around the basin. So at this point, I know Dr. Chavula is in. I don't know if you might have something to talk about as well, or just a small piece to add, but I also open it up to the floor to anybody with a question or a concern to please feel free to raise your hand, and you can share it with the team here.
Not really, not really a comment or anything, but maybe just to add that you know, as one of the opportunities, we have 2 buoys installed on the lake. So in terms of measurements of some parameters, there's an opportunity there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chavula. Ken, please.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the presentation. And to declare an interest, I worked in Malawi many years ago, and I'm very conscious of the level of activity that used to occur through various donor projects. And my question is, to what extent are there actually current research activities going on? And what are people's thoughts about, you know, why that is in terms of whether it's high or low, and actually what the key needs are? What do you see as being the key needs? I'm delighted to hear there are a couple of buoys in the lake, but what do you think are the key needs next in terms of continuing the research? Because what it means, that old research provides an extremely valuable baseline for which you can now, you know, compare any changes that have occurred over the last 20 years. So I'm interested in your thoughts, Lake Malawi, Niassa group.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah,
I welcome. Yes, Dr. Chavula.
Yeah, I think there are a number of us here attending. I would ask Max to say something about it on the Malawi side, and also contributions from our colleagues from Mozambique and Tanzania. Thank you.
Max?
Apologies, I didn't get the question clearly. Sorry.
The question is, I suppose, let me try to be more succinct. The question is, given the long history of various projects that occurred on the lake, which was also whole lake surveys, for example, as well as quite a concentrated effort in the southern part of the lake. What does the group think? You know, the first part of the question is, has that research been continued? To what extent has that research been continued over the last, say, 20 years? And what does the Malawi group or Nyasa group think are the key needs for building on the previous work that went on, because it provides a very important baseline for which to compare any further changes?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. I think, yes, we've had several previous projects that were regional, you know, maybe covering Malawi, Mozambique, and Tanzania. But now, I think this is the need that we want to revamp, you know, that coordination. Right now, each state is working on their own. And so to share data or even to compare data from the various, you know, three nationals has been a very big challenge. But otherwise, I think for Malawi, we are continuing with the monitoring. And so we have almost about 3 projects that have provided with various either equipment or also supported monitoring. We've had, you know, the lake-wide monitoring surveys, biomass, but also every quarter, you know, we do the water quality assessments, you know, from the Basin Fisheries Research Lab. So yeah, we've continued, you know, to build on what was already done in the late 90s by SADC GF and also, you know, the other previous projects. But this is why we wanted that, you know, for Mozambique, Malawi, if we form a network and then we can share data, but also maybe we can work together in terms of, you know, data sharing and handling.